I am Matt Smith for 5280 Sports Network. Thanks so much for tuning in. Well, Colorado takes down the Louisiana-Monroe Warhawks tonight, 89-70, and in doing so has moved to 3-0 on this young season. The Buffaloes will next face Notre Dame in Brooklyn for the beginning of the Legends Classic, which is essentially a 4-team tournament between Colorado, Notre Dame, Texas, and Northwestern. These first several games for the Buffs of Seattle and Louisiana-Monroe were actually regional round games, but the real tournament starts on the 21st when the Buffs will face the Irish. But Colorado did what they needed to again tonight. They shoot 40% from the field, 28 of 35 from the free throw line, and the Buffs played well on the whole. A very quick start in this ball game. George King, 6 points and 3 rebounds in the first 3 minutes, and if you blinked, you'd have missed Derek White's first 10 points. He would finish 4 of 5 shooting, but he was 4 of 4 in the first half. White with 12 points. 5 Buffs actually finish in double figures tonight. Xavier Johnson, Josh Fortune with 14, White and King had 12, and Torrey Miller with 10, but 7 players had 9 or more points. There was a lot of sharing the ball tonight. The Buffs were aggressive, they played well, and a debut of another one of these CU freshmen in Bryce Peters, who played very well tonight, giving Buffs fans their first taste of what they will see from him over his time here at CU. First shot of his collegiate career was a missed three-pointer, but Bryce stayed very aggressive and then followed it up with a big dunk for his first collegiate basket, and then ended up hitting a buzzer beater at the end of the first half. So a quite memorable first game for Mr. Peters, who is just coming along and is one of 3 very, very good freshmen for this Colorado men's basketball team, who I think will play a critical role over their careers in Lucas Seward, Deleon Brown, and of course now Bryce. This was a good game for Colorado, and I think it was a good warm-up game for the Buffaloes, who find a way to win once again despite a sloppy performance in the second half. Now, you're not going to be able to do that next week and come away with wins against Notre Dame and possibly the winner or loser of Texas and Northwestern, but this is another good one for the Buffs to get under their belt, and just another good warm-up game, really, because when they go to Brooklyn next week, they're really going to find out where they are, and I think we're going to be able to tell quite a bit about where this team is this season. It's very interesting situation that Colorado has right now. I think it's a situation where Tad Boyle is happy for the most part with what he's seen, but the defensive effort and the rebounding has been good, and they've been rebounding teams with a lot less size than they have, but the Buffs are finding ways to win, and it's early, but Colorado has played well enough now to think this team could be a top 25 team. I see the pieces in place. I think they've got the depth for sure. They had 10 guys play over 16 minutes, and not one of them played over 25 tonight. There was a lot of reps for these guys tonight. I think it was important for Colorado to get another one out of the way. They're 3-0 now heading into Notre Dame, and I think the most important thing is for the Buffs to have a very good first few days of practice. This is a team that needs to get its mind right and really focus up, because you've got Notre Dame and possibly Texas or Northwestern, and if you can win 2 of those games with the non-conference schedule you have, you end up having to play Colorado State here at home. Xavier comes to the Coors Event Center. You go on the road for BYU. There's a lot of big games coming up, but these are key opportunities for Tad Boyle's team to get signature non-conference wins for this season, and they certainly have the opportunity to do that. Derek White, we've seen very unselfish so far. I'm looking forward to seeing him play more of a feature role coming up in Brooklyn. I would expect that from him, but the Buffs do need him to play unselfishly. This is a kid who's very talented, a little bit underrated nationally because not a lot of people know about him, but they will very, very soon. November 21st, the Barclays Center. The last time Colorado played in an NBA arena, you must remember now, the Amway Center for the 2015 NCAA tournament against Pittsburgh, where they got clobbered. So a little bit of mojo to set in a neutral setting for Colorado next weekend, as they will travel to Brooklyn here at the beginning of next week. I am Matt Smith from the Coors Event Center for 5280 Sports Network. It's a 3-0 start for Boyle's Buffs this year. College football on Saturday. Washington State comes to Boulder, a 1:25 kickoff. The Buffs and the Cougars will do battle in a game that means more than any Colorado football game has meant in the better part of the last decade. Colorado with a big opportunity, now number 10 in the country, and they will face the Wazoo Cougars at Folsom Field this weekend. Make sure you tune in to No Bull Just Buffs on 5280 Sports Network. We're going to get into that game very in depth in the night before in the podcast. As always, we really appreciate your time, and until next time, I am Matt Smith.